Parashat Yisro, Tuvshim Pa'evuv, B'siyata D'Shmaya, the Shir today will be learned B'siyata D'Shmaya L'Refias, U'avrech HaChoshuv Yisruel Ben Adina, V'Lerefias Rishu HaChashivu, Chayesure Bas Golde Mindel, V'Lerefias Hayalde, Basye Bas Miriam, P'soich Shachoyle Yisruel. This week's Parsha is Matan Torah. Chazal say that we're Matan Torah in Srapi Kol HaCholim. Now, when we read the Parsha of Matan Torah, the Kriya is more the same that was by Matan Torah, the Srapi Kol HaCholim. Hashem gave the Torah when everybody was healthy, because that's the way to be Mekabel the Torah. The Rambam writes in Ilchis Dayis that why should a person watch on his goof, on his body, should be healthy and strong, because you can't be Mekayim Torah mitzvahs only if you have a healthy goof. If you have a weak goof, so you can't be Mekayim Torah mitzvahs, you're schwach, you don't have koyach. V'nishmart moidlo nafsheseichem is a gewaltige mitzvah, that we should watch. Our body is not ours. We're not allowed to do with it whatever we want. It's Hashem's. He gave it to us. We have to watch on it. For sure, of course, our neshama we have to watch on the neshama, but we also have to watch on our gift. So Hashem wanted we should be mekabel the Torah with the ability to be mekayim all Torah mitzvahs. He made us everybody bari, healthy, should be gesund, stark. That's the way how you could be mekabel the Torah. Maybe that's why we make the bracha v'lekayim neshama. We make every morning. It's a bracha smucha lechaverta. It has to be connected to another bracha that finishes with a baruch, and we make afterwards, because the Lekayim Neshama doesn't start with a baruch, so it's Smucha Lechaverta. It's close to another bracha that finishes with a baruch, and that's the way it's also considered. So we put it together with the bracha from Asher Yotza. We finish Baruch Atu Hashem, Reifech Al Basar Emafrilasis, and the Lekayim Neshama. I once thought, why do we dafke put it together with this bracha? There are a lot of brachas that you make in the morning that you could connect it to that bracha. Maybe it's to teach us, before we say neshama shenasato bi kol zaman sheneshama b'kirbi moidani lefanecha, first it has to be roifech al basar emafri lasos. Should be healthy and gesund.
Body and soul.
Body and soul, gevaldi. Guva nefesh. Brius aguva nefesh. Shleibes abrius begufa benefesh. This happens every year in this week's Parashat Yisro. So the Eibush Adolf, everybody should have a refiah. Befrat when it comes to Shabbos Yisro, but we know Chazal say that Matan Torah was b'Shabbos. Kul al memoide the b'Shabbos nitne Torah. Even though there's a machlokes between Rabbi Yossi and the Rabbanon, if it was Vav 7 or Zayin 7, but for sure the day of the week it was Shabbos when Hashem gave the Torah. Shabbos, we know there's a losh Chazal say, if a person goes in to be Mevakeh Choil on Shabbos, he says Shabbos imelizik, refuah kroi velovoi. Shabbos is not allowed to scream, you're not allowed to daven for a refuah, only if it's a mamish pekuach nefesh. But regularly, you don't daven on Shabbos for a refuah. But that alone, that you keep yourself back from davening Shabbos for a refuah, that's alone a schus to bring the refuah. Shabbos, it's Shabbos today, meal is like, so I'm prevented from screaming from davening. But that should be the reason, that the refuah should come quick and fast. That's alone a schis to bring a refuah on the person. You see this week's Parsha, when the Torah mentions I was Matan Torah, the Torah tells us Moshe Yedabe, Velikim Yaneni Bekoil. Moshe spoke to Klal Yisrael, and Hashem answered him in his voice, meaning to say, Hashem put in power in the voice of Moshe, so everybody should be able to hear his voice, even though there were 600,000 Yidden of Klal Yisrael, Shishim Liboy. Moshe spoke with his regular voice. Velikim Yanenu, Hashem put himself in Kavyuchel, his power, Yanenu, he answered Moshe Bekoil in the Koil, Bekoil Shel Moshe, in his voice. So the Sar Shalom from Belz says the gewaldige Remes in this passage regarding what we spoke now. He says Moshe is Rosh Tevis, Shabbos, he milizoik. That's Rosh Tevis of Moshe. Koil is Rosh Tevis, Urefuya, Kroi Valavoi. That's Koil. So he says, Moshe Yedaber, when it comes Shabbos and a Yid says, Hashem, Shabbos im alizik, I can't daven now. So V'elikim Yaneni, Hashem answers him, Bekoil, Koil is a refuah kroi v'lovoi. You keep yourself back from davening because it's Shabbos, Shabbos im alizik. You want to be mechabed the Shabbos. So if it's not a pekuach nefesh, you don't daven on Shabbos. That's a Moshe Yedaber. You say Shabbos im alizik, V'elikim Yaneni, Hashem answers him, Bekoil is a refuah kroi v'lovoi. So we should all be zoichet to refias and yeshiyas. Amen. Let's start the parsha. Vayishma Yisro. Yisro heard. What did he hear? The pasuk says, "Eskol hashos alakim laMoshe v'leYisrael amoy." Everything that Hashem did to Moshe and to Klal Yisrael, took them out from Mitzrayim. Rashi mentions he heard the Kriyas Yamsiv, he heard about the Milchemas Amalek. It's interesting. We see last week's parsha, Klal Yisrael say by the Shiras Hayom, Shomu Amim Mirigozim. All the Amim heard about Kriyas Yamsiv. Kol Meim Sheboil, all the water split it. Even a cup that was in Argentina and someone wanted to drink it, split it into two. Shomi Amim Mirigozim. They heard what Ness happened to Yiddish kinder by the Yamsiv. Chil Ochas Yoish V'Feloshes. All Yoish V'Pelishtim, they started to shiver. Oz Nivalu Alufei Edoim. All of them shivered and they were afraid, pachat. But no one changed. One guy changed, Yisro. Vayishma Yisro. He also heard, but he did something. He not only heard, it entered his mind, it entered his heart, and he came to be Megai himself. He came to Klal Yisrael. Even though you could ask that we see already in Parashat Shemois, when Moshe Rabbeinu comes to Midian, he helps out his daughters with the water as they were trying to take water from the well, from the Be'er, from the, how do you call it?
The well.
It was a well or maybe a brin. Yeah, probably. Or it's sometimes it's only rainwater. Rainwater you call a boil. Again?
A cistern.
A cistern. A boil of rainwater is called a be'er, is a well. It says be'er over there. It probably was a well. So as they were trying to take water of the well, and all the other goyim rushed them away, pushed them away, so he came and he helped them, Moshe Rabbeinu. And Rashi explains over there why did they by Goldhirsch, why did they check them out? They pushed them away because Yisrael was koifer in their avodah zarah. He declined the avodah zarah. So it seems that he was a Megai himself already then. But the answer is, as the Sif Sachom explains over there, then he only was koifer in the avodah zarah of Midian. He saw this is nothing, but he was still looking for other. Only now he came and he says, Ata Yodati ki Godel Hashem ekol alim. Rashi says, Malamed, that there was no avodah zarah that he left behind. He tried out all the avodah zarah. So he was busy trying out, and now you know only Hashem is the only. So Yisro heard and he came. Vayishma Yisro. He was the only one. And probably it was word for Hashem. Hashem made the Kriyas Yamsef for every Yid. You know, the Chazal say Legoiz Yamsef Ligzorim, that the Yamsef was split in 12 Shvilim and 12 paths. Why? What was the purpose it should be split in 12 paths? Quotes the Svasemes on Pesach, and he says, Hashem wanted to teach us we shouldn't think that only Klal Yisrael altogether, Shishim Riboy, they have a power and a schus that they should be Zoichet Kriyas Yamsef. But only a part of Klal Yisrael, they wouldn't have this schis. No. He split it into 12 paths. Every Shavit is enough choshev by Hashem for them alone to make Kriyas Yamsef. Goes to Svasemes and he goes even a step further and he says, there's a pasuk in Tehillim, Ata forarto ba'oz chayom. Meaning to say, the yam in his strength, ba'oz chayom, you forarto, you made it into pirurin. How do you say pirurin? Crumbs. You crumbled the yam. Ata forarto ba'oz chayom. Explains the Svasemes that the yam was crumbled into 600,000 paths. Every Shevet had a major shvil, a major path, but in this path, every single individual Yid with his family They had their own path. To show us that every individual Yid is choshev enough for Hashem to make for him Kriyas Yamsif. That's why Ato Fararto Ba'os Chayom. And the truth is, the Mishnah says in Pirkei Avos, Imenayin shafili echot sheyoyshiv v'shoyne shakodesh baruch hu kavei alei sochar. If you learn together 10 people, is gewaldig choshev ashruas hashchine kol ve'asor shchin tesharye. 3 people, 2 people, even if a person learns by himself, a single person, it's also gewaldig choshev. Menayin shakodesh baruch hu kavei alei sochar shenemar, because it says in Posik, Yeshiv bodot v'yidoim shkoyach. Kinot al ulav. Ya'ishev bodot v'yidoim kinot al ulav. Even if he sits by himself and he learns quietly, kinot al olav. What's the pshat kinot al olav? So the Bartanir over there brings the pshat, and he takes it from the Rambam and Perush HaMishnayos, that the Rambam explains, kinot al olav means to say, he takes it all. What do you mean to say he takes it all? Hashem says, it was worth for me to give the whole Matan Torah for Klal Yisrael, for one individual Yid that sits and learns. It was shaveh. It was worth for me to take them out from Mitzrayim, the 10 makkos for the Mitzrayim, Kriyas Yamsif, and bring them to Matan Torah for one Yid that sits and learns. Yeshiv bodot v'yidom kinot al olav. So in our case, here we had Shishim Riba that took upon themselves all Torah mitzvahs. But there was also one goy that came, Vayishma Yisrael. One individual goy heard, and it had an ashpu, it had an effect on him. That he came and he was Megayir himself, Vayishma Yisrael. He was Oiche to be the father-in-law from Moshe. His children, Einiklev, they were Zoiche Mibnei Bonav Shal Yisrael, were from the Sanhedrin. Zochu, they were Zoiche to sit in the Lishkas HaGozis, they were in the Sanhedrin. Gewaltiges Chisam Yisrael was Zoiche. He came, he changed, he listened, he absorbed, and he understood he has to make a change, and he did a change. He made a change. There's a gewaltige pshat in the Sefer Degel Machne Ephraim. The Holy Degel Machne Ephraim writes in this week's Parsha Vayishma Yisrael. He says another pshat, because it's built on the Yesoid. The Degel Machne Ephraim says always that the Torah is nitzchias. The Toldos Yaakov Yosef speaks about it a lot also. Every pasuk in the Torah refers to us in every generation, every day in our lives. So, in our days, what's Vayishma Yisrael? We could say, like we said now, till now, that everybody has to listen to the koil, whatever he hears, whatever Hashem sends a message to him, he should listen, he should be listening out, open ears to absorb what Hashem says, speaks to him. But he says another gang, the Heilige Degel Machne Ephraim. Vayishma means to listen and to understand. Yisrael means, what's the leftover? What's the remainder? Ma Yisroin la'adam b'chol amoloi sheyamal tachas hashomesh. What's the Yisroin? How do you say it in English? Remainder, like I said? Yeah?
What's left?
Yeah, what's left? What's remained after him? So the Chazal say, Ein malav v'loi la'adam, loi kesef v'loi zov. Nowhere you're going to see that you are malav a person after his 120 years. Money, kesef v'zov. Only mitzvahs ha'masam toivim. But he puts even a adgoshe, the Degel Machne Ephraim, and Chinuch Habonim. That's one of the ikrim that a person takes with, because that's the future. That's his fruits. Now, was Tu B'Shvat, we ask for good fruits, good peiros. Toil L'Seyem, Shel Tzadikim Mitzvahs Ha'masam Toivim means that when our toilders, when our children make Mitzvahs Ha'masam Toivim, that refers to us. And even a person after the 120 is already a oimid, he can't succeed anymore doing mitzvahs and masam toivim, but by his children, bro mazaka abe, children are mazaka the father and mother in heaven, in Gan Eden, and by them doing Torah mitzvahs, it helps out. So that's the Amsheichis, that's the continuation from him in Torah mitzvahs Navodas Hashem, to put in a lot of effort to Chinuch Habonim. So Vayishma, a person should understand Yisroi. What's the remainder? What am I going to take along? Torah and mitzvahs ha'masam toivim. Now Yisrael understood this, and that's why he left behind Kavoid Shaloilam. Rashi says he came to the Midbar. He was the biggest in Midian. He left everything behind because he understood that's the Iker, the Emes, that he's coming to the Klal Yisrael to be Megayir himself. Every Yid has to understand this, what Yisrael understood, And what's the idea? To understand Yisroi. What's going to be my remainder? With what am I going to be left? And he speaks strongly, the Degel Machne Ephraim, on the idea of Chinuch Habonim. One of the strong chalukim that you have to put an effort that's going to be left over after 120. And then he goes and he says the no the pshat. Vayishma Yisrael, a person should understand what's actually what he really needs. What's the hechreach? How do you say hechreach? What he actually needs. Hechreach means it's a must. And what's only moisris? Meaning to say it's pleasure. You could have some extras. Oh, extras. A must. Necessities. Oh, not the Gevaldi. Necessities. Shkoyach. Yeah. What's the necessities? That's the hechreach that he has to have. And what's extras? Now, by understanding this clearly, he's going to put, whatever he needs, it's a necessity. He needs it, so he has to work for it. Whatever is extras. Vayishma, you should understand Yisrael. What's extras? There's an old story of the Chofetz Chaim that once a person came to him to visit the Chofetz Chaim in Radin, and he saw the house of the Chofetz Chaim was very posh. And he asked the Chofetz Chaim, how come you don't have any curtains on the windows? And even the table and chairs could have seen better days. And why doesn't Rav the Chofetz Chaim forgive himself? Why doesn't he allow himself something better? And the Chofetz Chaim asked him, let me ask you, where's your furniture? I see you coming into me without your furniture, without all the curtains. And the person says, Rebbe, I'm over here in the middle of the way. I'm baderech. I'm passing through. In my house, I have nice furniture, nice curtains. Chofetz Chaim answered him, I also. In my house, I have nice curtains, nice furniture. Over here, I'm passing through. 95 years he lived, yeah? But he was passing through. The Chofetz Chaim, he was baderech, he was on the way. So this is what you have to know, history. What's the necessities and what's extras? And this is l'choyre, refers to the first pshat of the Degel Machne Ephraim also. This is part of the Chinuch Habonim. Yeah, what you leave over is how you are mechanech the children. One of the parts to be the mechanech is they should know what's the necessities, and what's extras. That's what they also have to know. Now we see weiter in the Psikim so much about Chinuch, L'moshel. We see afterwards that when Moshe Rabbeinu gets the idea of Yisro to make all of the shoftim, the Pasuk says, before Revi, Vayeshalach Moshe es choisno, he sent him home, Vayelech lo al artsa, he went back to his city. And Rashi explains, Legaya b'nei mishpachta, he went back to be Megaya b'nei mishpachta. Why? Because he understood, I have to see the generations after me should also be good. So after he came to the Midbar and he was Megaya himself, he saw it, over here is the truth, over here is the Hashem is over here, and he is the one and only. So he went back home to be Megaya b'nei mishpachta. More than that, we see that when he comes to visit Moshe Rabbeinu to the Midbar, he brings along the two children of Moshe Rabbeinu. Their names were Gershom and Eliezer. And the Pasuk says, Shemu Echad Gershom. And afterwards it says, V'shem Hasheni, no. V'shemu Echad Eliezer. How come? Shemu Echad Gershom, V'shemu Echad Eliezer. How could it be two Echad? The Balamusir explained that children aren't potatoes. You don't make one potato, two potato, three potato. Yeah, when you count potatoes, you count them 1, 2, and 3. Children, each and every child is a one and only. He's a ben yochid. You can have 10 children, but each one of them is echad. Shemu echad, the name of the one and only child is Gershom. V'shemu echad, the name of the one and only child is Eliezer. That's how you have to look when you are mechanech the children. He's not for sure that there's a whole family. He has to know that he's part of a family, but you have to look at him, each and every one as an individual. This is also what we spoke about Chinuch. Vayishma Yisra, to understand what's going to be, what's the Iked Yisra. Now, interesting, the Gra in his letter, Igeres HaGra that he wrote to his wife when he was on his way planning to go to Eretz Yisrael, he speaks very strongly that you shouldn't worry for the children. So many times people are busy making money and doing more than they need to do, even though they for themselves have already enough, and really they should be busy with their neshama to make for the soul, and they're very, very busy with the children to make all whatever they need. And the Gerog brings over there, the Gemara Masechta Gittin, the Gemara says that Resh Lakish, before he was nifter, there was nothing left in his house, only a kav of Yerakos. A kav is a certain measurement called a kav. I don't know exactly how much it is, but not too much. A kav of Yerek, of vegetables, was left behind. And when he heard, he asked probably one of his children, what's the left at home? And he told him this kav of Yerek. He cried. And he said the pasuk, Va'ozvu la'acheirim cheilam. I leave behind for other people my farmeig. How do you say rechush? How do you say it in English? It was inheritance. Yeah, inheritance. I leave behind for acheirim, meaning to say whatever you have to have, Hashem is going to give you anyways, even if I don't leave it behind. And he was like saying, why did I have to put in the effort of earning this kav of Yerek if it wasn't for me? Because for you, if you're going to be at Yoirish, and so it would anyway, it would anyways be yours. Hashem has so many ways to bring it to you. So that's also how we spoke before. Part of the chinuch was the Resh Lakish teaching them, Vayishma Yisra, to understand what are you taking along, and you should know what's the necessities and what's the extras. And as we spoke, part of the chinuch is to know Echad Gershoim, Echad Eliezer, each and every one is the individual. Echad Yochid Meichad. Burichat Hu Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Shehakol Niyu B'Dvoroi. The pasuk says, Shemu Echad Gershoim, and he explains the reason. Why did he call him Gershoim? Ki Omar. Because Moshe Rabbeinu said, and he explained to people, Geiro Yisi Beretz Nochriya. I was a ger in Eretz Nochriya. Shemu Echad Eliezer. Why? Ki Elokei Ovi Be'ezri. The God of my father was Be'ezri. Vayatzileini Mecheref Pari. And he saved me. He rescued me from the sword of Pari when he wanted to kill me. Why doesn't it say by Eliezer, V'shemu Echad Eliezer, Ki Omar Elokei Uvi Be'ezri? Why by Gershom it says Ki Omar, meaning to say that Moshe explained and he said, what's the reason why he gave this name? And by Eliezer it doesn't say Ki Omar. It just says, Shemu Echad Eliezer, Ki Elokei Uvi Be'ezri, V'yatzaleinu Mecheref Parai. Now the Eben Ezra, he doesn't make a kasha of this. He says Poshit. He says the first Ki Omar refers also on the second pasuk. He doesn't have to say every time Ki Omar, Geris V'Estachriu, and the other child Eliezer was also Ki Omar, Ki Elokei Uvi Be'ezri. It's Ki'ilu, it says another time Ki Omar. Or the Degel Machan Ephraim says, the Gewaldige Pshat, he says that you can't say over here Ki Omar. Ki Omar you say on something that happened once. When you say the reason why you called him Gershoim, Moshe says now, the Torah says Ki Omar, because he had said, Geiro Yisi, once upon a time I was a Ger, Beretz Nochriu. But when it comes to the Kayuvi Be'ezri, what should he say? If he's going to say Ki Omar, he should say Ki Omar Elokei Ovi Hoya Be'ezri. Yeah, he was Be'ezri. You can't say this. He's every second Hashem is Be'ezri. Without Siyata D'Shmaya, you can't move. You can't go past the door without Siyata D'Shmaya. That's what you need on every second of your life, Siyata D'Shmaya. So you can't say Ki Omar Elokei Ovi Hoya Be'ezri. It's steady. Ki Elokei Ovi Be'ezri is always Be'ezri. Now the pasuk goes on and he mentions, and at one specific time, it was Vayatzileini Mecheref Paroi. So on this certain rescue, on this Atzola, he gave the name, but Elokei Ovi Be'ezri is not only Ki Omar, it was once. It's a steady Zach, Elokei Ovi Be'ezri. That's how the Degel Machan Ephraim explains it. Constant, yeah. Now, and I like steady Zach. Steady, it was. Steady Zach is, you like it better than constant. You know, this is Kamara contest over here.
I'll lose. I'm okay with that.
No, you won. He likes it because it's Chassidish. So, the Rabbi Yosef Shol Nathanson, he gave us one of the big oinim. Rabbi Yosef Shol Nathanson, there's a sefer from him, Divrei Shol, Ala Teure, Shoyle Meishiv, Shalas Achivas, Shoyle Meishiv. In his Askom on Degel Machne Ephraim, he says that he saw a few shtiklach in the sefer, he liked it very much, and he says, even one shtikl of the sefer, I also said on my own before I saw it in the sefer, and he brings down the shtikl that he brings in Parashat Yitro, why he doesn't say Ki Omar Elakai Ovi Be'ezri, I also said the same pshat before I saw it in the sefer. So we know already two tzaddikim that said this pshat and why he doesn't say Ovi Ki Omar. Now, interesting, the Bnei Yisachar brings in a sefer Agre de Kala. In Parshas Vayishlach, gewaltige Chiddush. He says the reason why he doesn't say by Eliezer Ki Omar, because Moshe Rabbeinu didn't say the reason. Because if he would have to say the reason why he called him Eliezer, he would have to say every time Elokei Ovi, and he would have to pronounce to say out the name of Hashem. He didn't want to say Hashem's name like this. When you have to say by davening, you say, but like this, tzaddikim, don't say Shem Shomayim Stamazoi. So he kept it to himself. By Gershom, you don't mention Hashem's name by saying the reason why he's called Gershom. He told everyone, Ki Omar, Gerisi Beres Nachriyo. When it comes to Eliezer, it wasn't Ki Omar. He kept it to himself. Maybe if someone asked him, maybe for one or two people, it did explain. But it says, he doesn't say Ki Omar. He kept it to himself. Why? Because it's Elokei Ovi. He didn't want to say Hashem's name. So he doesn't say Ki Omar, Elokei Ovi Be'ezri. They bring down in the name of the tzaddik from Rabbi Yitzchok from Neschiz. Rabbi Yitzchok Neschiz, he was a son-in-law of a son of the Badit Shivaruv. So he was an einikl of the Badit Shivaruv. And he ate after the chasana. He was on kest. How do you say kest? The first few years when you sometimes the father-in-law provides you with everything that you need, and you're like, so once it used to be by the tzaddikim that you used to eat kest. You were on kest for the first few years by the grandfather. So he was by the Badit Shivarov for kest, and once the Badit Shivarov told him he should know. Told Rabbi Yitzchok Neschiz to say once Shem Shamayim Kero, how you have to pronounce it with kavona. You need a gevure not less than Shem Shnagibin. Such strength do you need to be able to say Shem Shamayim Kero bekavona. You have no asugis. You know, there's a letter of the Heilige Rebbe Moshe Leib Tzasavir. He writes a gewaltige letter to his friend, and he ends the letter Koi Divrei, the shofol. The
lowly.
Again?
Lowly, like
lowly, yeah, very lowly. And he goes on and he says, if I will only have this aveira that I am machis, how do you say? I make angry, that I anger Hashem 100 times a day by my saying the 100 brachos without kavanah. That's enough for being so lowly. Koi divrei ha'oni evet, that if I will only have, now, for sure you have to make mei bruchas every day. You have to make the 100 bruchas. He meant to say, according to his madrege, he felt he could have done better. He could have said the brachas with more kavuna. So, he says the Badit Shiruv, you need the gevir of Shimshon Agibir to be able to say Hashem's name, you have to say it. Interesting, today is the Yortzat of the Masham. The holy Masham, the Brezhaner Rov, his name was Reb Shula Mordcha HaKoyen. Reb Shula Mordcha ber Moshe HaKoyen Shvadron. His name was Reb Shula Mordcha Shvadron. He was one of the biggest poskim in the last generation. Gana Goinim, the holy Masham. It is said that once he asked, I don't remember whom, he asked his Rebbe that he wants to be Zoiche to Gili Eliyahu, wants to be Zoiche to see Eliyahu Anovi. He asked his Rebbe. And the Rebbe told him, all right. And once he slept that night and he dreamt that he sees Eliyahu Anovi. And he didn't know what to do with himself. How should he be Mechabed Eliyahu Anovi? So he had, in his cholam, in his house, he had some compote, a fruit cocktail, something. So he gave it for Eliyahu Anovi and he told him, make your bracha. Be mechabed yourself. How do you say it?
Help
yourself. Oh, Help yourself. And the Yonavi looked at him and he tells him, what? That's how you throw a broche? Mach a broche? That's how you make a broche? The Masham said, he woke up frightened, and since then, whatever he wanted to make a broche, it fell upon him such a pachad by remembering when he saw Eliyahu in the dream, and he was telling him, what? That's how you make a broche for Hashem? For the creator of the world that created you and everything? Memachta broche? So we see, that's the reason why it doesn't say Aviyeki Omar. That's how the Bnei Yisachar explains, because he didn't want to stam say Hashem's name. So Yitaka didn't say. Maybe we could add to this something. He mentioned that you need the Gevura like Shimshon Hagibah. In a few weeks is Parashat Tetzaveh, and Parashat Tetzaveh is the only Parashat since Moshe Rabbeinu was born that's not mentioned the name of Moshe Rabbeinu. And everybody speaks about it, beginning from the Zohar HaKudish, the Ari HaKudish. But the Avodas Yisrael, the Korshnitz Magid, the Parashat Vayechi says, he wonders, he says, in Parashat Tetzaveh, everybody speaks about why it's not mentioned Moshe Rabbeinu's name. And why does no one speak about what I mentioned? What does he say? He says, if you're going to look, Parashat Miketz, Parashat Vayigash, and Vayechi, till the brocha from Yaakov Avinu to Don, it's not mentioned Shem Shomayim, Yitkai Vovkai. Elikim Yeh, Elikei, Keil, but Shem Yitkai Vovkai is not mentioned in the whole Parashat Miketz, whole Vayigash, and Vayechi, the first time is when he gives the brocha to Don, Lishioscha Kivisi Hashem, that's again where it says Shem Shomayim Yitkai Vuvkai. So he goes on to explain the Heilige Koshnitz Magid that because Miketz and Vayigash speak about the Golas that Klal Yisrael went down to Mitzrayim. So that's why the Shem Shomayim Yitkai Vuvkai is Baseiser. Vayidna Rigolas Vanoichi Aster Aster Ponai Bayoy Mahi. He goes on to explain, but I want to add why Take pinked by this posek Yaakov does mention Lishi Oscha Kevisi Hashem. Because who said L'shiascha kivisi Hashem? Yankov gave this bracha for Don. And Rashi explains he was davening for Shimshon Hagibah that came out from Don. And when he asked Hashem, help me still this one time, Chaskeinu Achapam, when he wanted to throw down the whole building, it should collapse all the Pelishtim above. So for that, Yaakov Avinu said L'shiascha kivisi Hashem. Maybe this is to show us a few parshas we don't have Shem Yitkai Vuvkai. When do I mention it? When we speak about the Gevura of Shimshon Hagibah, the Shioscha Kivisi Hashem, because that's the strength that you need to be able in order to say Shem Shomayim Kiro, B'kavonah, say Yitkai Vuvkai, how it has to be. You need the Shioscha Kivisi Hashem, the Yeshua, the Siyata, the Shmai that Hashem gave for Shimshon Hagibah. We need Gevirat Shimshon for that.
You just thought of this?
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
When Moshe Rabbeinu comes down to Klal Yisrael, Hashem wants to give them the Torah, and Hashem Yisburach tells Moshe Rabbeinu he should tell the Yiddish Kinder they have to prepare themselves to be Mekabel the Torah. And it says in Posik, Leicha Lo'am, go to the nation, to Klal Yisrael, V'kidashtom hayoy mimochar. Yeah, prepare them. Rashi says, V'zimantem, they should prepare themselves, holy themselves. V'kidashtom hayoy mimochar. Actually, it's mashman the Pasik that on the third day Hashem is going to come down on Bar Sinai, Har Sinai. And that's how Chachamim learn that Hashem came down on Vov Sivim. Rabbi Yossi says, no, Hoysef Moshe Yom Echad Midaitoi. Moshe added another day, and that's why it turned out to be Shloishes Sameach Bola. Not only Ayoim Mochor, the third day also. Shloishes Yomim. Why? And Rabbi Yossi explains, because Moshe Rabbeinu made the Cheshbon, the Hayoim has to be like the Mochor. Like the Mochor is a whole day, 24 hours, you need Hayoim also 24 hours. The day that he came down, he only came down from Shemaim in the morning. And he came down to Klal Yisrael till he spoke to them was already maybe noon. So you can't count this day, you need another 2 days. So they started today, so they had 3 days, but actually whole days they only had 2. Now, if they anyway we're focusing on the 2 full days. Why did they have to start right away? Should Moshe Rabbeinu, according to Rabbi Yossi, Moshe Rabbeinu should come down and tell them, Hashem told me Ayoyim Mochar 2 days, so you could still wait till at night, but at the beginning of the night, you should start preparing himself. And by Yom HaShlishi, on the 3rd day, Hashem is going to come. Why did he have to start right away when he came down? So I once heard from my father, Shlita, sein Gesinnten stark. And only thought, everybody knows it, that you're not allowed to push off anything. When it comes to Ruchni is Befrat, last week's Parsha, Tzevi Elochem Ba'Amalek Mochar, Moshe Rabbeinu tells the Yeshia, I want you tomorrow to go and fight Amalek. So the Chassidish tzaddikim use this pasuk and they interpret it is, that the Pshat is, Tzevi Elochem Ba'Amalek Mochar. Go and fight the Amalek that tells you everything Mochar. You want to start something? Yeah, great. Now is already middle of the day. Tomorrow you're going to start, you're going to have a good head start. You're going to start from tomorrow. That's Amalek. Because the idea of Amalek saying Mochar, it doesn't mean really tomorrow. He means today not. So by tomorrow, the tomorrow is going to be today. So also today not. It's going to be tomorrow. And like this, it's going to be tomorrow. Tzevi lochem ba'Amalek Mochar. The Amalek that teaches us, that wants to bring in us the clip of Mochar, we're going to start tomorrow, you have to fight it. How do you fight it? V'kidashtom hayoymi Mochar. If you want to have the Mochar, you have to start today. There is no tomorrow if there's no today. You can't start on tomorrow. The Mochar is only a Mochar if you have the today. So even Rabbi Yossi that knew that you need 2 full days, but he knew in order we should be able to start and have 2 full days, you have to start right away. I once said that the Vishnitz Rebbe, Reb Chaim Miilch from Vishnitz, once sat with a few of his close chassidim, and he asked them, what's the busiest day of the year? What's the busiest day of the year? What would you say? One of them said Erev Pesach. Very, very busy day. Befrat, those, especially those that even bake matzahs on Erev Pesach. Very, very busy day. You have to bend the chomets, bake the matzahs, prepare everything of the house, sell everything what you have to put away for the goy before Chatzos. Should be put away what you sell for the goy. Some said Erev Sikkis is a very busy day. Dalad Mina, finished doing the Sikkah. Some said Erev Rosh Hashanah. And some even said Erev Yom Kippur. Some said Purim. Someone said the day that you make chasana, you marry off a child, is the busiest day. And he was smiling, and he told them, no, you know when's the busiest day? Tomorrow is the busiest day. Because everything is being pushed off for tomorrow. You know how busy the tomorrow has to be? You have so many things that you're about to do tomorrow. That's the busiest day of the year, tomorrow. You want to start, you have to start from today. I see it's late already, so I'm going to speak about on 2 dibros of the Aseres HaDibros. One dibra is the pasuk Zocher Esrei Shabbos Lekatshoi. And from this Chazal learn that we have to make Kiddush Shabbos, to bring in the Shabbos. Kiddush bidvorim, you have to say words. And what are the words? The Kiddush Yom HaShishi and the bracha afterwards. Asher Kedushonu b'mitzvos of Mekadosh HaShabbos. That's the bracha to be. With that we are Mekayim the mitzvahs Esed Doiraisa. The Mekadosh HaShabbos bidvorim. Even though you could be Yoitze bidvorim by the dibirim of davening also. You say by davening also Mekadosh HaShabbos, but Chazal made the takone that you should do it on a kois. And we have in Zina to be Yoitze, the mitzvah says the proper way, Chazal made the takana, we should be Yoitze when we make it on a kois. Now Shabbos morning, we call the Kiddush Kedisha Rabbah. That's how it's called. Kedisha Rabbah means the big Kiddush. Actually, it's a very small Kiddush. It's only a bracha by the Priyagofen, but it's Melosha Saginur. Like a person that's Chad V'Shulam blind, you call him Saginur, he sees very good. That's a Melosha Saginur, you call it Kedisha Rabbah. It's a small Kiddush. Even more than that, what's the Ikki Kiddush? Because the bracha boire priyagufa that you make in the morning is actually Birchas Hanahanan. So where's the Kiddush over here? We say Zocher Esrei Shabbos Lekatshoi, but that's not Ma'akev. Even if you didn't say it and you just said Baruch Atu Hashem is also Yoetze. So I saw once that the Shemazalman Oyebach Zetzal wants to be Mechadish, a gewaltige Kiddush. He has a whole arichis, but he comes to a conclusion that the Ikke Kiddush is the drinking of the wine. That's the Ikke Kiddush. You drink wine lekovat Shabbos, lekovat the seed of Shabbos. That's why he wants to be Mechadish, a Kiddush Nifle. Very, very interesting. He says, if a person comes into a house or to a shul, and he didn't hear yet Kiddush, and he sees someone finishing saying, Priya Gofen, he didn't hear the bracha, and he goes quickly to him and he tells him, have me in mind. When you drink the wine, have me in mind. He says, yeah, it's a Kiddush. The person drank the wine and he had him in mind to be a moitze. It was, yeah, it's a Kiddush, a gewaltige Kiddush. Because the bracha is not ma'akim, because the bracha is a berachas on a hanen. To be able to drink the wine, you have to make the bracha by the Priya Gofen. Say that's called Kedisha Rabbe. Now, Taka de Masham, today is his yard side. He brings down that he heard that the Heilige Rab Shitzerov told his Chassidim to make Shabbos morning Kiddush on a small cup of schnapps, vodka, bronfen, how do you call it, whiskey, brandy, maybe even arak, could be. No, maybe, could be. And he said the reason why you don't need, why it's good, because it's Chamar Medina. You could make Kiddush a Chamar Medina, meaning to say a drink that you use in this Medina. It's a choshev drink in the Medina. Now, why don't you need a revius? Actually, I think in Chabad they make on a revius. Emes even.
You make on wine.
You make on wine. You don't, even in the morning you don't make on. You make on wine. But I think that those who do make on whiskey, some they take a whole cup, a revius. But the Rab Shitzerov said that because the minig of this drink is that you drink a small cup, that's enough. That's the derech hashtiyah. Like when you drink water or coffee, you drink a revius. When it comes to this, the derech hashtiyah is a small cup, a smaller, a middle-sized cup. You know, once someone saw those small cups, not the plastic ones, the glass ones, cups. So he said, seems that the person that blew this up had a very small lung. You know, because it was so, he had a very small lung. Yeah, you blow up the glass cups. So you should make, you could be, there is a Tirizov and the Ilchis Brachis and the Ilchis that says that when it comes to Yash, to schnapps, all of those drinks, it's considered a choshev eshtiyah, even though it's less than a revius, because that's the seder how you drink it. And he brings down even more than the Marsham, that he heard someone told him Eidis, that the Choyze of Lublin also did like this, make Shabbos morning Kiddush, and not on a revius, and Yash, and with that he was Yoitz. Now, I heard once from a choshev Yid, my Rebbe, he was my Rebbe when I was a Bucher, he told me that the Yida Kudish also made like this Kiddush, and one of his Einiglich, Rabbi Yamotche Rabanovich, said that he heard from Poris of Chassidim, that he said, the Yida Kudish said, what's the Indian to make dafke? Why shouldn't you make on wine, boy the Priya Gofen? He said, Gewaldig. He said, when it comes Friday night, the person says Kiddush. What does he say by Kiddush? Yoim HaShishi, Vayechili HaShamayim. And then he goes on and he says, Hashem Yisburach created the whole world. Zikaron Lamasa Bereishi, Zeichel Yitzias Mitzrayim, he mentions in the Bracha Mekadosh HaShabbos. So he is like announcing that Hashem, he is the one that created the whole world. Mekadosh HaShabbos, he is the Koil Yochel. Comes Shabbos morning, we also want to make Kiddush, but the Bracha is only by the Priya Gofen. So that's why the tzaddikim understood, let's better make Shahakol Niyeh B'dvaroi. That's Kiddush. So you take a Chamar Medina, you make on it Shahakol Niyeh B'dvaroi. That's Kiddush. Gewaldig, huh? I have a friend that he told me he has a gewaldig idea.
That's why I make a shahakal after the wine.
You make a shahakal after the wine. But the boy Priya Gofen is moitze the shahakal.
No, say I want to make sure.
He told me he wants to also be oitze. It should be a revius, but he can't drink a whole revius of schnapps. What does he do? He prepares himself for coffee, and he makes the shahakal on the schnapps, and he has in mind also the coffee is also Chamar Medina, so he can be oitze kiddush with schnapps and with coffee. So from the schnapps he has a small cup, from the coffee he has a revius, so he's oitze both types, Chamar Medina, from this Yaz Revi'is. But the idea is that you should make Kiddush by announcing, saying, Shahakoil Niyeh B'dvara, that's Kiddush Shabbos morning. They say in the name of Ramoshe from Kabrin, Ramoshe Kabrin, that he once said, why is it that when a person has a hardship, something occurred to him not so good, he's not so happy, he takes a small cup of bronfen, of schnapps, of whiskey, and he becomes happy. It turns him that he should be able to accept what came upon him. He said, it's not the vodka that makes it, it's not the schnapps. It's the brocha that he made, Sha'akal Niyeh B'dvara, so he understands everything is from Hashem. So one of the Chassidim asked him, Rabbi, so why do you have to take schnapps, bronfen? You can take a cup of water, and on that make a Sha'akal Niyeh B'dvara. If it's like the Rabbi says, that the brocha makes the change. So Ramoshe Kabbalah told him, believe me, if a person comes to this hakara, to this understanding, Sha'akal Niyeh B'dvara, he's worth a cup of bronfen. He's worth the glaze of whiskey. He deserves it. He deserves it truly if he comes to this hakara to understand that Sha'akal Niyeh B'dvara. What? Just want to finish. I said we're going to speak about another dibra. The last dibra of this week's Parashat of the Seres HaDibros is Lo Sachmoid. How do you say Lo Sachmoid in English? You shouldn't?
Covet.
V'zoi?
Covet.
Covet. How do you spell it?
C-O-V-E-T. Covet.
V-E-T. Covet. You shouldn't covet nothing from your friend. Beis re'echu. Whatever he has, you shouldn't have chemda on it. Shouldn't be at chaymet. Now, they say, I think that was a Chaim from Brisk. Once he saw someone coming into his house, and he understood that this person is coming in looking for some goods. He was about to take whatever he was looking for. So they say that Reb Chaim Brisker, as he saw this person entering his house, and he right away understood what he's planning to do, he announced clearly, loud enough, and he said, everything in this house is hefker. So like this person won't be nichshel with geneva, it's hefker. So the Brisker of the Gris said, why did he have to say it's hefker? Why couldn't he say, whatever you take, you can have b'matona. You can take anything that you want b'matona. He explained, Taka Genaive wouldn't be over if he wouldn't be over. He wouldn't be, how do you say over? He wouldn't
transgress.
Again?
Transgress.
He wouldn't transgress the Aveira of Genaive if it's a matana, but he would transgress the Aveira of Lesachmoid. But if it's Hefker, it's not Lesachmoid, it's not Re'echo. It doesn't belong to anyone. So that's why Reb Chaim understood, and he said it's Hefker, so you shouldn't be over on Lesachmoid also. I once heard that there was a machloikis between a Moshe Soloveitchik, and not a machloikis, an argument between a Moshe Soloveitchik and his cousin, the Gris, the Briskerov. If the Isra of Lesachmet is only when you covet someone's specific chayfetz, that's how it's mashma usually in Chazal. You covet his furniture, his house. But if you covet the $1 million that he has, it's not that you are choimet those papers. You're choimet the worth of the $1 million. And on that is no Isra of Lesachmet. That's how Moshe Soloveitchik tied it. The Isra Lesachmet is to be choimet the specific item that a person has. Of where you're not coveting the item that he has.
Brisk, the cheftza.
You're being, it makes more sense.
You're being
the specific thing.
You're being choimet the ability that he has. He has the worth of money that you could buy. It could be a check, it could be a credit card. He has the ability to buy whatever he wants. That's what you want. But the Briskerov said no. Even for that, you're being over all Isach. But he disagreed with Ramoshe Soloveitchik.
And the Gavra.
Yeah, the Chefs and the Gavra. Now they say in the name of, they say in the name of the Beis Halevi that he explained how could the Torah be mitzav al Isach with Ebenezer.
The whole Brisker Mishpucha.
Yeah, that the Torah is mitzav al Isach. It's It's a dover amosel lev. How could it tell you that? Well, it's
Human nature.
It's human nature to be choimet. Now it's known what even Ezra says that when something is very far from you, you don't have no chemde. He says it won't enter the ben akfar, a goy that was brought up in a kfar. How do you say a kfar in
Some village.
In some village that he is going to marry the bas melech. Because it's so far, no chance it should happen. So he doesn't even have a chemde. You only have a chemde to something that you think maybe I could have the ability to reach to this. So the Torah wants from you that something that's not yours. Once the Torah tells you shouldn't covet, so it should be from you so far further than the Ben Akvar should marry the Bas HaMelech. The Beis HaLevi explains it also from the pachad. He refers to the pachad of an avayre. He says, when a person has a big chemde, and chaz v'shum, let's say, he is walking and he's planning about to do epes an avayre of chemde. And while he was walking on a bridge, and there was some snow, how do you call it? Snow that became ice. And he slipped, and any second he could give a slip down the bridge and fall into the ocean. While he is slipping, there's no chemda, no nothing. He is everything that he had in his mind flew away because it's now bepachad. He's in such fear for his life. The Torah wants you the pachat of to not be over, not to transgress. What Hashem tells us should be so strong that it shouldn't let us to have chad shalom any chemde. And the same idea is also when it comes to the tzivi of ahavas Hashem. That the Torah is mitzvah v'ahavto es Hashem alekecha. We should love Hashem even though we don't see. But our avodah is the Rishonim speak about it to bring in our hearts ahava to Hashem. The Rebbe Kiva Eige says that that's why you finish the bracha before Krishma haboiche b'ama yisrael be'ahavu. That Hashem chose Klal Yisrael with his gewaltige love to Klal Yisrael. So when a person thinks into this, haboiche b'ama yisrael be'ahavu, it opens, it lights up the ahava that he has b'shoirish in our heart from Avram, Yitzchok, Yaakov. You just have to light it up, and you have the ability to light it up. So we should everybody be zoiche to all Ashpuas Toivis, Agit Shabbos.
Shabbos.